Hello, welcome to our
discussion about the
Hello, my name is Janine B. Jor, and hi, my name is Gleza V. Wagwag. And we were going to report about the e-commerce and digital trade. What is e-commerce? The Organization for Economic Cooperation, OECD, and UNCTAD define e-commerce as purchases and sales of products, for example, physical goods, digital products and services, and comprises of categories such as business to business, B2B, refers to commerce between two businesses rather than to commerce between a business and an individual consumer. To government, B2G, is a business model that refers to businesses selling products, services or information to governments or government agencies. The World Trade Organization WTO, 1998, defines e-commerce as the production, distribution, marketing, sale or delivery of goods and services by electronic means. The World Customs Organization enumerates the following essential elements in the definition of e-commerce. A. Online ordering, sale, communication and, if applicable, payment. B. Cross-border transactions/shipments. C. Physical, tangible, goods. D. Destined to consumer/buyer, commercial and non-commercial. Philippine Statistics Authority, for purposes of collecting statistics, define e-commerce as the sale or purchase of goods and services, whether between businesses, households, individuals, governments, and other public or private organizations, conducted over computer-mediated networks. The goods and services are ordered over networks, but payment and ultimate delivery of the good or service may be conducted on or offline. The three main factors affecting the development of the e-marketplace are economic factors and conditions, legal and institutional environment, social acceptance and awareness. Economic benefits and cost of using e-commerce. Benefits: boost efficiency and has positive impact on gross domestic product. Allows economies to increase participation in global value chain. Increase labor productivity and supports job creation, entrepreneurship, innovation and creativity. Leads to energy savings and lower carbon emission. Potential to advance inclusive growth. What is digital trade? According to Deirdroff, 2017, describes digital trade as commerce involving more than one country for which the product itself is digital and or any of the following are accomplished at least in part by using the Internet or a similar digital technology: advertising, ordering, delivering, payment or servicing. 3-dimension of digital trade. Nature: either be digitally or physically delivered. Flow: depends on the item being traded is a good or service. Actors: government, businesses or consumer can be involved. The primary law on e-commerce in the Philippines is Republic Act, RA, number 8792 or the Electronic Commerce Act of 2000. It gives legal recognition to electronic forms of data: messages, documents, signatures, transactions, storage of information. It provides penalties for access of data without consent, piracy, hacking, and other violation. Consumers' rights, privacy and data confidentiality under e-commerce are safeguarded through the Consumer Act of the Philippines, RA number 7394, a basic policy of the state to protect the interests of the consumer, promote his general welfare and to establish standards of conduct for business and industry. Data Privacy Act of 2012, RA number 10173, it is the policy of the state to protect the fundamental human right of privacy. Prevention Act of 2012, RA number 10175, an act defining cybercrime, providing for the prevention, investigation, suppression and the imposition of penalties therefor and for other purposes, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the Philippines in Congress. The enforcement of social distancing, lockdown and other measures in response to the COVID-19 pandemic has led consumers to ramp up online shopping, social media use, internet telephony and teleconferencing, and streaming of videos and films. This has resulted in spikes in business to consumers, B2C, sales and an increase in business to business, B2B, e-commerce. The increase in B2C sales is particularly evident in online sales of medical supplies, household essentials and food products. Name is Erica Umpad and I'm going to discuss about protectionism. What is protectionism? Protecting domestic industries against foreign competition by means of tariffs, trade remedy measures, import quota, export subsidy, technical barriers, import and export non-tariff measures. Protectionist policies are typically focused on imports but may also involve other aspects of international trade such as product standards and government subsidies. The merits of protectionism are the subject of fierce debate. Purpose of protectionism. Protectionist policies are usually implemented with the goal to improve economic activity within a domestic economy but can also be implemented for safety or quality concerns. The four static arguments for protectionism. National security. If a product is used in the manufacturing of military goods or other security-sensitive products, it may not be wise to import it from another country. A domestic industry needs to be protected through trade restrictions to make sure that it continues to supply enough of the product and not become dependent on other countries. Counteracting dumping and foreign subsidies. When a country dumps its products in a foreign country, it sells them at below cost. Dumping is done to eliminate competition in a foreign country and to establish a monopoly position. The infant industry argument. Some countries are newly developing and have industries that are just beginning to grow. The argument is that they need to be protected from other countries whose industries are fully developed already. After a few years of protection, the industry is expected to be mature and ready to compete. Trade restrictions should be lifted at this point. Protecting domestic jobs. Domestic industries lose sales and jobs due to foreign competition. Examples of industries affected by foreign competition include the steel, textile, and automobile industries. The argument is that to protect these industries and to prevent layoffs, trade restrictions need to be imposed by the beginning of the 21st century. We see a transition of the world trade regime from globalization and trade integration towards nationalism and protectionism. This is because tariffs have fallen in the last 3 decades due to bilateralism, regionalism, and multilateralism. Regionalism is a political ideology that seeks to increase the political power, influence, and/or self-determination of the people of one or more subnational regions. Multilateralism refers to an alliance of multiple countries pursuing a common goal. Hence, countries need to protect its national interest. Falling tariff versus increasing no-tariff barriers and other non-tariff measures. Tariff is an import tax or duty on goods imported from abroad. According to the WTO, tariffs give a price advantage to locally produced goods over similar goods which are imported, and they raise revenues for the government. Non-tariff measures as defined by UNCTAD are policy measures other than ordinary customs tariff that can potentially have an economic effect on international trade in goods, changing quantities traded, or prices or both. While tariffs are transparent and has widely been eliminated, ITMs are not easy to identify and said to be a major obstacle to trade.
Hi, my name is Clark Rosal and I'm going to report economic significance of US and China to Philippines. What is the economic relationship between China and Philippines? Trade. China is a top trading partner of the Philippines. Notes. From 2014 to 2018, China ranked first as source of imports of Philippines products with 19% share of total Philippine imports, while it ranked as the Philippine third major export market with 12% share of total Philippine exports, PSA, 2020. Investment. China is also one of the country's top investors, Trade Policy Review Secretariat, 2018. The Philippine Statistics Authority, PSA, reported that during the fourth quarter of 2019, foreign direct investment, FDI, in the Philippines were mainly sourced from China amounted $86.24 billion, accounting for 77% of the total FDI in the country. PSA, 2020. Remittances. China is the Philippines' 38th source of remittances in 2019. What is economic relationship of U.S. and Philippines? Trade. U.S. is also among the main trading partners of the Philippines. The United States is among the Philippines' top 3 trading partners, and the Philippines is the United States' 31st largest goods trading partner with $30.2 billion in total, two-way, trade during 2021. Investment. The U.S. is one of the major foreign investors of the Philippines. The United States and the Philippines collaborate closely with one another on clean energy. USAID's $34 million Energy Secure Philippines, ESP, supports a more competitive, secure, and resilient Philippine energy sector by working to improve the performance and efficiency of energy utilities, deploy renewable energy systems, enhance competition in the power sector, and bolster energy sector cybersecurity. ESP will help mobilize more than $750 million in private sector investment into the sector and develop at least 500 megawatts of additional clean energy generation capacity. Remittances. The U.S. is the Philippines' main source of the country's remittances. Impact of the U.S.-China trade war to the Philippines. As of April, the unemployment rate is down -5.1% compared to 5.5% in 2018. The country's GDP, however, continues to slide down 5.1% from 6.3% in 2018. For the remainder of the year, Arbitroy is optimistic that inflation rate will improve to 2.3 to 2.7%, same with GDP growth at 5.6%.
My name is Noel May Navers. And I'm Jo Marie Bilarmino. And we were going to report about trade steps of major trading partner. Lower tariffs attributed to increasing number of bilateral, regional, and multilateral arrangements. The Philippines has trading agreements with member economies of the WTO and APEC. 9 member states of ASEAN. 7 countries that have bilateral free trade area, FTA, agreements with the ASEAN, Australia and New Zealand, China, Japan, Korea, Rep. of India, Hong Kong. 4. Under these trade agreements, tariffs are progressively reduced and or eliminated with the end goal of 0 tariffs on substantially all goods by the agreed end dates. On the other hand, it gained duty-free access to over 90% of the tariff lines from ASEAN. Unfair trade practices by countries to protect themselves. The World Trade Organization allows imposition of measures against unfair trade practices by members. In Article 7201, Chapter 7 on the WTO rights and obligations provides that the parties confirm their rights and obligations relating to the application of anti-dumping and countervailing duties under the WTO and on implementation of Article V of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade of 1994 and the WTO Agreement on Subsidies and Countervailing Duties, from 1995 to June 2019. China having the most total number of initiations at 23%. Korea at 8%. United States at 5%, based on notification to the WTO from January 1995 to June 2019, 26% or 1,008 of the total 3,587 anti-dumping measures have been imposed on China and several countries. Meanwhile, 7% or a total of 283 anti-dumping measures have been imposed on Korea and 5% or a total of 189 anti-dumping measures against the U.S. The restrictive non-tariff measures imposed include export prohibition on medicines, cereals, flour, sugar, other food products, medical supplies and other protective equipment, cigarettes and tobacco products, rice, fish products, beans, essential commodities, pharmaceutical products, fruits, wild export licensing requirements on ventilators, medical supplies and equipment, quarantine requirements on all products, licensing permit requirements to export face masks, sanitizer, alcohol and disinfectant, medical and hospital products, import ban on medical supplies, non-essential goods, cement, second-hand clothes, and petroleum products. Export quotas on food products, wheat, mesclun, barley, and certification requirement for testing kits. Philippine trade strategy to FDA AMP, major trade partners. Philippine trade policy has not undergone major changes since 2005, the tariff remains as the main policy instrument. The Philippines grants at least MFN treatment to all WTO members. It has preferential trading agreements with 15 partners, the other 9 parties of ASEAN, and 6 countries that have negotiated agreements with ASEAN, Australia and New Zealand, China, India, Japan, and the Republic of Korea. An agreement between the Philippines and EFTA members has been signed and ratified. FTA negotiations with the European Union are ongoing. A. Philippines and ASEAN. Member of ASEAN, the Philippines is committed to deepening its economic integration among the members, including removing obstacles to trade and improving trade facilitation. The Philippines, both unilaterally and through the ASEAN, has continued to pursue a policy of negotiating regional trade agreements, RDAs, of varying scope with the focus on Asia-Pacific. 7. Recently, the Philippines signed the ASEAN-Hong Kong-China Free Trade Agreement and ASEAN-Hong Kong Investment Agreement. These 2 agreements are part of the region's continuous efforts in expanding external economic relations to foster greater trade opportunities for the ASEAN Economic Community. B. Philippines and the European region. In 2016, the Philippines ranked as the 39th EU trading partner. Philippines' share of total EU imports and exports was 0.4% by mid-2017. The EU became the second largest export market for Philippine-made products, accounting for 15% of total Philippine exports, behind Japan, 17%, and ahead of US, 15%, and China, 11%. Philippine exports include preparations of meat, aircraft, spacecraft, and parts thereof, animal or vegetable fats, oils, optical, medical or surgical instruments, machinery and mechanical appliances, electric machinery. With regard to Philippine imports, the EU is the 4th largest supplier to the Philippines. The Philippines has adopted a parallel 3-pronged strategy to increase the country's presence in the European region. 2 of these strategies capture the country's interest in the EU through the inclusion of the Philippines in the list of beneficiaries under the EU Generalized System of Preferences, GSP+, and the ongoing negotiations for an FTA. Is a major trading and investment partners of the U.S., with bilateral trade in goods and services in 2017 totaling an estimated $29.6 billion, with a $6.7 billion deficit in favor of the Philippines. The United States is one of the largest foreign investors in the Philippines, and is the Philippines' 3rd largest trading partner, with over $27 billion in goods and services traded. Note: Philippine exports to the U.S., semiconductor devices and computer peripherals, automobile parts, electric machinery, textiles and garments, wheat and animal feeds, coconut oil, and information technology/business process outsourcing services. Philippines imports from the U.S. are agriculture goods, machinery, cereals, raw and semi-processed materials for the manufacture of semiconductors, electronics, and transport equipment. At present, the Philippines enjoys U.S. GSP schemes, RTAs and FTAs. With the COVID-19 situation, most of Philippine trade partners implemented trade measures. Impact on Philippines or PH response. Except for Japan, the Philippines has trade deficits in most of its FTA partner countries. Hence, the Philippines should continue to pursue trade cooperation strategies through the lowering of tariffs and improving trade facilitation measures that promote seamless value chains. Emphasis must be given to the support and further development of MSMEs.
This is Lester Mabadid and I'm going to report about trade with the post-Brexit United Kingdom's post-Brexit, Europe, after the departure of the UK from the European Union. Post-Brexit is sometimes used to refer to the period after the UK's decision to leave the EU was made. 4. Impact of Brexit on Philippines. A. UK Global Tariff, UKGT, scheme. The UK Global Tariff, UKGT, shall serve as the UK's most favoured nation, MFN, tariff schedule of the United Kingdom beginning on January 1, 2021. It follows an 8-digit to 10-digit coding system based on the Harmonised System, HS, 2017 version. UKGT are composed of ad valorem duties, specific duties, combined tariffs, and seasonal tariffs. B. Free trade agreements with the UK. Although bilateral trade between the PH and UK remains small, negotiating it after would still be.
Thank you, and advance Merry Christmas.